Welcome back to Apex Sci-Fi. There is a place on Earth called Point Nemo. It is the pole of inaccessibility, the furthest point from any landmass. If you were floating there, the nearest humans to you would not be on Earth. They would be the astronauts on the International Space Station, orbiting 250 miles above your head. Because of this isolation, space agencies use Point Nemo as a graveyard. When a satellite dies, they crash it there. It is a graveyard of titanium and dead circuits, resting in the crushing dark for kilometers deep. But in 2031, the International Space Station itself was scheduled for decommissioning. It was too big to burn up completely. It was guided to a watery grave at Point Nemo. We thought it was the end of the station. But we forgot the ancient rule of alchemy, as above, so below. The void of space and the void of the ocean are mirrors. And when the ISS broke the surface of the water, it didn't die. It woke something up. Today's story is about the final transmission of Commander Elias Thorne, a man who fell from the stars and landed in a world much, much stranger. If you have thalassophobia, the fear of deep water, smash that like button to face your fears. And if you want to know what lives in the city of glass at the bottom of the world, subscribe and ring the bell. Dive sequence initiated. The deorbit. Trajectory nominal, mission control announced. Good luck, station. See you on the other side. Commander Elias Thorne strapped himself into the Soyuz escape pod attached to the station. He wasn't supposed to be there. The protocol was for the station to be unmanned. But the docking clamps had jammed. Elias and his pilot, Sarah Vance, were trapped on the doomed vessel. "We are riding it down, Houston," Elias said calmly. "We will eject at 10,000 feet and deploy chutes. Don't worry about us." The ISS hit the atmosphere like a meteor. Fire engulfed the solar panels. The metal groaned. But the station held together. It was tougher than anyone thought. It screamed through the clouds. Ejection failed. Sarah yelled. "The levers are fused. We are going into the water. Brace for impact." The splashdown was registered by seismographs in Chile. A massive object hitting the Pacific at terminal velocity. Mission control went silent. "Station? Elias? Do you read?" Static. The telemetry flatlined. The ISS had sunk. "They're gone," the flight director whispered. "At that speed, water is like concrete. And even if they survive the impact, the station isn't a submarine. It will be crushed by the pressure within minutes." They marked the time of death. They prepared the press release. The signal. 3 hours later. The emergency radio at NASA headquarters crackled. It wasn't a standard SOS. It was a low-frequency pulse transmitting through the ocean water to a buoy, then up to a satellite. Click. Yes. Click. "Houston." The voice was distorted, slow and deep. But it was unmistakable. "Houston, this is station. We have landed." The flight director grabbed the mic. "Elias? Is that you? Are you alive? What is your status?" "Status?" Elias paused. The background noise wasn't the hum of fans. It was a rhythmic, heavy throbbing sound. Like a giant heartbeat. "Status is wet. We are at depth. Sensors read 4,000 meters. 4,000 meters? The director paled. "That's impossible. The pressure is 5,800 psi. The hull should have imploded." "The hull is flexing," Elias said dreamily. "It is breathing. The water is holding us. It is gentle here." "Elias, listen to me. You are suffering from nitrogen narcosis. We are dispatching a deep submergence vehicle. The DSV liminal is nearest to your location. It will be there in 12 hours. Hold on." 12 hours. Elias laughed. It was a wet, bubbling laugh. "We don't need rescue, Houston. You should see the view. It is full of stars. But the stars are moving." The descent. The DSV liminal arrived at Point Nemo the next morning. Pilot Jack Holloway steered the sub down into the abyss. "I don't get it," Jack said to his co-pilot. "We are still getting telemetry from the ISS. Life support is active. Oxygen is normal. How is a tin can surviving down here?" They descended past the sunlight zone. Past the twilight zone. Into the midnight zone. The darkness was absolute. "Sonar contact," Jack said. "Large metallic structure on the seafloor. It's huge. It looks like the station but different." They turned on the floodlights. The beam cut through the black water. And revealed the International Space Station. It wasn't crushed. It was blooming. The solar panels were gone, replaced by massive translucent fins that waved in the current. The metallic modules were covered in a thick, pulsating layer of bioluminescent coral. The station looked less like a machine and more like a giant, mechanical organ. "Dear God," Jack whispered. "It's integrated with the biology down here." The window. Jack steered the sub towards the cupola, the famous 7-windowed observation deck. "I see movement inside," Jack reported. "I'm going close." The sub hovered feet away from the glass. Inside the cupola, the lights were off. But the room was lit by a soft, blue glow. And there was Elias. He was floating in the center of the observation deck. But he wasn't wearing his pressure suit. He was wearing his blue flight jumpsuit. "He's not wearing a helmet?" Jack gasped. "The station hasn't flooded? How is he breathing?" Then Elias turned to face the sub. Jack screamed. Elias's eyes were gone. In their place were large, reflective black orbs, like the eyes of a deep-sea shark. His skin was translucent. You could see the veins pulsing underneath, glowing with blue blood. He smiled. His teeth were serrated. He raised a hand to the glass. His fingers were webbed. He wasn't holding his breath. Gills were fluttering on the side of his neck. The conversation. The radio crackled. Elias was speaking directly to the sub. "Hello, Jack," Elias said. His voice sounded like grinding stones underwater. "You came a long way." "Elias," Jack stammered. "What happened to you? We need to get you to a decompression chamber. We can fix this." "Fix?" Elias looked confused. "We are not broken. We are evolved. We spent so long looking up at the void trying to find life. We looked in the wrong direction. The life was below us." Sarah floated into view next to him. She had changed too. Her hair drifted like sea anemones. "The pressure is not a burden," Sarah said. "It is a hug. It holds us together." "Why do you live up there, Jack? In the low pressure? You are so expanded. So fragile. Come out. Come out." Jack asked. "Open the hatch," Elias urged. "The water is warm. The city is waiting." Jack looked past the station. At the edge of the floodlights he saw it. It wasn't rock. It was architecture. Spires of spiraling glass rose from the ocean floor. Bridges of living light connected thermal vents. Massive, shadow-like shapes swam between the towers, leviathans that defied classification. This wasn't a crash site. It was a suburb. The ISS hadn't crashed. It had docked. The choice. "Mission control," Jack said, his voice shaking. "Target is compromised. Target is hostile. Requesting permission to leave." "Permission denied," Houston replied. "Retrieve the black box. We need the data." "I can't," Jack yelled. They are opening the airlock." On the station, the airlock hatch began to spin. Water rushed in. But Elias and Sarah didn't drown. They swam out. They swam towards the sub with impossible speed. They moved like torpedoes. They latched onto the canopy of the DSV liminal. Elias pressed his face against the sub's glass. "Join us," Elias whispered, his voice resonating through the hull. "The stars above are dead fire. The stars below are alive." Jack slammed the throttle. Emergency ascent. Blowing ballast. The sub shot upwards. As they rose, leaving the lights of the ISS behind, Jack looked back one last time. He saw Elias letting go of the sub. Elias didn't look sad. He looked pitying. He pointed down towards the city of glass. And then thousands of lights turned on in the deep. Millions of eyes opening in the dark. They had been watching us drop our trash for decades. And now they had caught a sample. The aftermath. The DSV liminal surfaced. Jack was quarantined. He spent the rest of his life in a mental institution in Kansas, as far from the ocean as possible. The official NASA report states that the ISS broke up on impact and all hands were lost. But we know the truth. Point Nemo isn't a graveyard. It's a nursery. And sometimes when the satellites fly over the South Pacific, they pick up a signal. It's not SOS. It's a lullaby. A song sung by human voices, distorted by water, inviting us to come down and swim. We are building spaceships to go to Mars. But maybe we should be worried about what is building cities in our own basement. Because whatever changed Elias, it knows we are here. And it knows we float. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. The ocean covers 70% of our planet. We have explored less than 5%. Maybe there is a reason we stopped exploring. Maybe we saw something we decided to forget. If you are never going swimming in deep water again, hit that like button. Comment below, what is scarier, space or the ocean? Subscribe. And keep your feet dry. Dive terminated.